Good afternoon and thanks for joining us. After 2 days of deliberating, a Saskatoon jury has found a man facing charges in the death of a woman guilty. Roderick Sutherland had pleaded not guilty to manslaughter, unlawful confinement, and offering an indignity to human remains in connection to the death of 30-year-old Megan Gallagher. But this afternoon, a jury found him guilty on all 3 counts. During the trial, court heard Gallagher died inside Sutherland's garage while she was tied to a chair. The 12 jurors began deliberations yesterday afternoon and continued until 9 o'clock last night before resuming again this morning. Again, Roderick Sutherland found guilty on all 3 counts. Farmers in Saskatchewan are hoping the federal government can quickly remove trade barriers to get canola flowing to China once again. With harvest wrapped up in many parts of the province, farmers are sitting idle with one of their most profitable crops sitting in grain bins. Last week, the Chinese government said it would lift its tariffs on Canadian canola if Canada's removed its year-long tariff on Chinese electric vehicles. Prime Minister Mark Carney has been non-committal as he weighs interest from across the country. But Saskatchewan Association of Urban Rural Municipalities President Bill Huber says farmers need some help.
And this is the first year in 55 years that I've farmed that we have never sold a bushel of canola off the combine. It's just not as easy as a stroke of pen to get rid of. But we are frustrated with the lack of support.
Huber has a meeting with Federal Agriculture Minister Heath MacDonald in Ottawa next week to help move things along. Saskatchewan Polytechnic is revealing more information about its recent job cuts. The post-secondary institution says it has issued 87 layoff notices to 87 full-time and part-time employees over the last few months. It says that includes faculty and professional services employees. It says 14 out-of-scope employees were laid off over the summer and that 71 vacant positions have not been filled. Sask Polytechnic says it's been facing a substantial revenue shortfall after seeing a 40% drop in international students enrolling in its programs. Last year, the federal government put a 2-year cap on international students studying in Canada as a way to ease the strain on housing, healthcare, and other services. Saskatchewan's largest locally owned brewery is marking its 35th year with a big expansion.
This was absolutely more about the city of Saskatoon, the province of Saskatchewan, and producing a great product that is world-class, that's been given numerous awards over the years, and we're so proud of it. And this facility that you're going to see when you walk into it, it's something to behold.
Officials with the Great Western Brewing Company cut the ribbon on the 11,000-square-foot brew house to be added to the company's existing facility. The $25 million expansion is expected to produce 550,000 hectoliters of beer annually and be operational by early next year. The brewery was originally built in 1927 as Hub City Brewing and was founded as the Great Western Brewing Company in 1990. A little bit of sunshine, but a lot of wind today, eh, Jeff?
Yeah, a lot of wind, but I'm glad you brought up the sunshine, because if you were in an area that wasn't impacted by the wind, sort of in a windbreak area, it was beautiful. Sunshine, warm temperatures, warmer than seasonal, and then so it's pretty nice conditions, and we can simply tell you that we have at least one more day like this, and then a big change. So basically, we're going to keep your eye on a couple of different systems that are going to be impacting Saskatchewan, but you can certainly see a lot of active weather in Alberta. And of course, we've been talking for the last few days about this system coming up out of Colorado and impacting southern Saskatchewan. We'll talk about all of that later on.
Today, Yorkton recognized some brave kids who are giving back to their community. Just before school was over for the week, the city hosted the CAA School Safety Patrol installation ceremony for students from St. Paul's School. The young safety patrollers make sure their peers are safe on the crosswalks near their school. Today, they made a pledge in front of the mayor, promising to stay safe, keep their friends safe as well, and not to abuse their signs. They also received a certificate and a gift bag.
I just had to wear a vest and make sure there was no cars, and then our class would go to the other side of the sidewalk.
I recommend this because it helps keep children safe and it prevents accidents.
The ceremony was first held in 2022 and is known as an important event for young patrollers. The Snowbirds have wrapped up the 2025 season of acrobatic performances, their 55th season entertaining crowds across North America. A private show was held for friends and family at 15 Wing Moose Jaw with near-perfect conditions. This season, the Snowbirds performed more than 24 shows over 6 months. Pilots and their teams who work 6 days a week during the season are happy to finish up at home.
It's bittersweet. It's great that we get to perform in front of our families, especially that the weather's been so good, but bittersweet in the sense that, you know, it's the end of the season, so now we're at the best that we've ever been, and now we're back to square one in 2 weeks, and then basically back at it. Trip 1 as a formation for 2026 is going to be in November, and we're just going to work our way towards the next show season.
Snowbird pilots usually serve a 2- or 3-year term. The Snowbirds have performed more than 2,000 shows since they were founded in 1971. After the break, the Prince Albert Raiders return to the ice this weekend. We catch up with the GM after a rare trade between division rivals. Prince Albert Raiders GM Curtis Hunt joins us today ahead of a weekend homestand against Regina and Edmonton. Curtis, you guys have been at home for quite a while now. Are you starting to get a little bit anxious to get out on the road?
Well, it's not so much. So the friendly confines of the Art Hauser has been very good to us throughout the years, as you well know. And, you know, especially early in the year, you get a little more practice, you get a little more rest, and really get our game dialed in. The guys have played well at home. So, and as of actually before this weekend, we're 4 at home and 3 on the road. So we have been fairly balanced.
It has been balanced, and it's been pretty good results for you guys. 7 games through, and a little bit lower than the rest of the league. Some other teams at 10 games, and that's actually got you guys at 10th place in the CHL top 10 rankings. So you're fewer games than most of the rest of the teams, but how much stock do you put into those early rankings?
Not very much at all. I think it's a nice little feather for the guys to see, but it just isn't a big enough sample size. So we've got 3 more at home here. Hopefully we can take care of business and, you know, remain in that spot. Certainly there's some pride involved in there, but we need to take care of business and not get too far away of ourselves. And, you know, this is going to be a great test, a hard-working Regina team playing with a lot of confidence. And then, of course, Edmonton, a very good hockey club as well.
And speaking of business, like you mentioned, the business of hockey is you make trades, you have guys going up, going down, and that happened between some pretty rare trade partners. But the Blades and Rebels make a trade, so Tyrone Sobry leaves, and you gain a 6th round. I think it was a conditional pick. Is it a little tougher to do a trade in division or with a rival, or is it just always difficult?
Well, I think it's been well noted, and there was some jabs taken at Saskatoon and ourselves about the deal on social media, which I thought was just fantastic and good fun. But you know what? We're looking at a veteran player who's got some experience, and you know, there's an opportunity to keep him in the league. And you know, I think, is it hard to move to a rival? Yeah, it is a little bit. You know, you're always assessing that. That being said, you never want to give someone or take away an opportunity for a player, you know, especially after, you know, he had left here already and had gone to Humboldt. So we're excited for him to get that opportunity. And I even told him, I said, you know, you got to be a little easy against if you get up against us, and we'll go from there. But he's a quality person, and we're excited for him that he's going to get this opportunity.
You know, it reminds me actually of an early 2007 October trade for Justin Cameron. This guy went the other way, so I left Prince Albert. And funny enough, Ryan McDonald, we had some good battles because he was a teammate for about 6 months, and then we had some good battles after the whistles, both in Saskatoon and up in PA. But I want to ask, you've been around the league and the game for quite a while. Are there any memorable trades or with rivals, or like a trade horror story that brings that jumps to memory?
Well, the one I was coaching, I think it was my 1st or 2nd year coaching in Moose Jaw, and I didn't make the trade. I'm going to just qualify that right away. But we sent 2 players, one of which was a World Junior player and played for Washington for 10 years. I'm not going to name his name, but you guys can look that up. For a Russian player last name Oct.17. And we had made the name bar and we were waiting, and it happened to be right around the time when getting Russian players across was a little trickier. And he was supposed to go to the U.S. and then ended up coming to Moose Jaw. Well, he never did come. I don't believe the GM at the time had put a condition in the deal for that. So we had lost that player, and for the next few years, the trainer at the time would bring the name tag out just to show me every now and again. And you know, I never wore it, but I always thought it was pretty funny that he kept that name bar for so long. You know, just to kind of, you know, buyer beware, I guess, mentality. But that's kind of a funny one in my mind. It probably not so funny at the time, but it is now. 30 years later.
I was going to say, a lot of those you can kind of look back and go, boy, in the moment you never know, and then with a little bit of hindsight, usually you can kind of chuckle and laugh about it. Next month you guys head out on your big U.S. road trip. So what does a GM do when everybody's gone? Do you get to join the team, or do you get back to regular work?
So for me, I guess my schedule will be the first part of September and October. You want to really watch our club, spend a lot of time with our coaches to get a feel for where our players are at, where our team is at. Actually, this week I was into Alberta to watch. I was able to watch 5 teams I haven't seen yet this year. Next week with the WHL Cup. And all those young prospects going into Red Deer, I'll watch that for a couple days. We have 3 prospects going there. And then I'll head into BC and into Eastern Washington to watch some games. And again, just to try to get ahead of the league a little bit, watch some prospects along the way, as well as assess the league. And then I'll actually go out to the coast with the team. I won't follow them around every game. I'll try to split between supporting our guys, whatever they need, and then you know, doing some scouting out there as well. So it'll be a good time of year to get out there before the snow flies. We are going to the U.S. this year, so that's always a fun trip, especially for the young guys. There's some electric fans and some fun buildings to go to, and it usually really brings your team together. It's a great trip in terms of you know, just team building and getting guys together.
You know, that's exactly what Coach Ryan McDonald said. So you guys are, before you head out on the road, you've got 2 games, the home game tonight against Regina, on Saturday against Edmonton. That's Curtis Hunt, the general manager of Prince Albert Raiders. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Jeff breaks down the weekend weather forecast after the break, and later fighting the stigma and bad information around therapies for chronic pain. So, Jeff, as the sun sets and the weather probably gets a little cooler, what kind of, are they going to need some jackets when they walk from their cars to the Art Hauser rink for tonight?
You know, I think they'll actually be okay. Now, you might want to hold on to your hat because it's still going to be quite windy. But we've had a warm day right across the province, and it looks as though it's going to be warm again for Saturday, then starting to change on Sunday. And we'll talk about that in a second or two here. But there's that low we've been talking about for the last few days. It continues to march in sort of a northeasterly direction into northern Ontario, but still on the backhand side, impacting parts of Manitoba. Coming out of BC into Alberta, another system, and of course that looks like it's already advancing across the Saskatchewan border. We had a little rain in the Saskatoon, I think in the Prince Albert area earlier this morning, but it didn't add up to much of anything. Let's take a look at our future cast, and this is what the computer models are telling us right now, is that low continues to cycle around up and towards the Hudson Bay area, really impacting Manitoba, but not so much Saskatchewan. Maybe some snow in the evening hours, and then rather tomorrow in the morning, and then by the time we get into the afternoon, it looks like that system is pulled out of Saskatchewan. But we're going to keep our eye on those pressure lines. They're really close together, so yes, we've got ourselves a windy day, and the winds start to back off late in the afternoon, but it's going to be a windy overnight tonight and into tomorrow. So here we go with the temperatures and Prince Albert region, 2 degrees for Spiritwood, 3 in the Battlefords, 3 as well in Candle Lake, Birch Hills, and Rostern. And the expected overnight low, 4 on the plus side. That's for Nipawin and Melfort. Most places dealing with either clearing skies or mainly clear skies. Now, on to tomorrow. Lots of sunshine for Spiritwood and the Battlefords. 12 degrees for the Battlefords, 11 for Spiritwood, 12 with mainly sunny skies in both Birch Hills and Rostern, 11 with mainly cloudy skies in Candle Lake and Melfort, and 10 degrees is the expected daytime high in Nipawin. And as you can see, we're looking at mainly cloudy conditions in that area. So those temperatures pretty much seasonal or slightly above. So as we mentioned earlier on in the broadcast, Art Hauser Center tonight, things get going with the Raiders taking on the Pats in and around 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock, then puck drop a little after that. So 3 degrees the overnight temperature, 30% chance of some showers, so a slight chance. But yeah, as I mentioned, staying windy, and that continues into Saturday. But a temperature of 12 degrees tomorrow, so that is just slightly above seasonal, albeit, like I said, a pretty nice temperature, but it's going to be a windy day. The winds start to back off late in the afternoon. 8 degrees, though, on Sunday, because why? Well, some rain starts to move in, so you can expect rain on Sunday, 8 degrees for a high. Starting off your work week at 5 degrees with a even chance of rain or snow or a combination platter. Then we get into mainly cloudy conditions Tuesday through Friday. 7 degrees on Tuesday, 11 degrees on Wednesday, 13 on Thursday, and 14 on Friday. So really 11, 13, 14, so Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, temperatures at or above seasonal values. So looking pretty good for the latter part of next week.
'Tis the season, eh? 'Tis the season for possible snow, and 'tis the season to rest your starters, because the Saskatchewan Roughriders, they're set to play the Winnipeg Blue Bombers tonight for the 3rd time of the year, and a lot of the starters are not playing.
As they are right now.
Cheat a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Try to pad the stats.
Here, a good throw. Finds Myers. Myers all the way down. End zone. Touchdown.
Jake Mayer gets the start at quarterback, his 2nd start for the Riders this season. He threw for 170 yards and a touchdown in a win over BC in June. The Riders already have first in the West wrapped up, so they're getting some players rested and other players into a rhythm. The Bombers need BC to beat Edmonton tonight in order to make the playoffs, regardless of their outcome against the Riders. Game starts just after 6 on TSN. The Toronto Blue Jays evened up their American League Championship Series with a convincing 8-2 win over the Seattle Mariners in Game 4 last night.
Here comes the 1-2. Raleigh tries to lay off, but he went around strike 3.
Strong pitching from 41-year-old Max Scherzer and some more strong hitting helped power the Blue Jays to their 2nd road win of the series. Game 5 of what's now a best-of-3 series goes again tonight in Seattle. The series then shifts back to Toronto for Game 6 and, if necessary, Game 7. Specially trained nurses are being added to the team that answers 911 calls. The Saskatchewan Health Authority is launching a new emergency communication nurse system in Saskatoon and Regina. The program will see 911 dispatchers transfer callers with non-urgent symptoms to nurses for further assessment. The nurses will then determine if the person needs emergency care or if another better care option is suited to help them. It's hoped the program can help free up paramedics to respond to situations that require immediate help. Over time, the goal is also to ease overcapacity at emergency departments. 8 million Canadians live with chronic pain. New therapies are offering more options for relief, but stigma and lack of information are still issues people deal with. With more, here's Pauline Chan.
It was a foot injury 11 years ago that started Aaron Adams' experiences with chronic pain, defined as pain lasting more than 3 months.
When that happens, the nervous system, there's changes to our nervous system.
Pain signals continue, often even after an injury has healed. For 13 months, Aaron's foot remained swollen until she was diagnosed with complex regional pain syndrome.
I've been to physio, been to chiro, been to massage therapy. I was an inpatient.
And while she appreciates everyone did their best to help, nothing brought relief until she saw Dr. Zamir Pirani 2 years ago.
Chronic pain is an epidemic. So 1 in 5 Canadians currently suffer with chronic pain. It's a silent disease.
And he says in seniors, the rate is more like 1 in 3 people, with the numbers growing as Canada's population ages. Aaron says stigma is also high.
It's very derogative because they think they can't see it, right? Well, you walk fine. I don't see you walking with a limp. What's wrong with it?
Pirani's clinics, one in Toronto and now one in Hamilton, offer a holistic approach to chronic pain management. They do procedures like the nerve-pulsed radio frequency treatment Aaron receives, where X-ray guided bursts of radio frequency disrupt rather than destroy the nerves. Medications are another important factor for patients, but equally important are other psychological therapies.
We know that cognitive behavioral therapy, psychological interventions, managing their depression, their anxiety, their loneliness, their isolation, these all have a massive magnitude of effect for patients suffering with chronic pain.
We do things like breath work and humming. And I mean, breathwork can really change the acidity of your blood dramatically. So by blowing off a tremendous amount of carbon dioxide, you make the blood more alkaline.
Dr. Monty Sawala says this change allows the nerves to essentially reboot. Their in-person supportive programs are covered by OHIP. The goal is not necessarily to eliminate 100% of the pain, but to educate the patient and reduce the pain so that they can go on to live a full life. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
Brought to you by Saskatchewan Union of Nurses. Thank you to Saskatchewan's 11,000 registered nurses.
All right, Jeff, I guess what everybody's been waiting for, the headliner has been announced for this year's Grey Cup halftime show in Winnipeg.
It sounds cliche, but tell me, would you wait for me? Baby, I'm a rolling stone.
MGK, a.k.a. Machine Gun Kelly, will be giving free tattoos. No, I'm just kidding. He will perform at the Grey Cup halftime show from Princess Auto Stadium in Winnipeg. The singer said after the announcement today, Canada's got some of the best fans, and he's excited to watch some epic Canadian football. Of course, the Grey Cup is set on Sunday, November 16th. Canadian band Our Lady Peace will open things up with a performance of their own before the game. And boy, there you go. I guess Taylor Swift was booked.
Exactly. She's got a couple of things on her slate. Yeah.
Well, I am glad, though, that they do have some Canadian content, because that's what the Canadian Football League is all about, right?
Thank you. Okay, there you go. Thanks, Suits.
National news is coming up in a few seconds. Thanks for tuning in.